Hello, this is Sanjay. I started off with the thought that I should make a video on the best note-taking methods for law students. But in reality, these methods can be used by all students. First of all, why do we take notes? To help us understand what we are learning, to help us revise what we have learned, to help us remember the important concepts, and also to help us in recollecting specific details that have to be written as is, like formulas in maths, equations in science subjects, or section numbers in statutes. So, which is the best note-taking method that can help us with all of these objectives? Well, it depends. It depends on your personal learning style, the subject or the topic that you're learning, and also on the learning situation. For example, in a classroom, you may have to jot down notes as quickly as possible to keep up with your professor. But if you're learning from a video or you're reading a textbook, you can pause or rewind, which means that you can take notes at your own pace. As such, there are many standardized note-taking techniques and methods. But we are interested in the best methods from among all of these, the methods that we can use in different situations. So, I will talk about the 5 methods that are the most popular among all of these. And as you will see for yourself, these 5 methods can be mixed and matched depending on your preference, the type of subject, and the learning situation. When I first started taking notes in the classroom, maybe in middle school, this is how I used to do it. And this is also how many students take notes. Here, we try to write down as many details as possible. But this method is not very efficient, and this format itself is not the best format for revision or memorization. Rather than writing in paragraphs, you can use the sentence method. The main advantage with this method is that it is fast, and this is also the best method for taking notes in live classes. In this method, to speed up your note taking, just use a word or a phrase to identify what the sentence pertains to and jot down the details in a short sentence. You don't need to use grammatically perfect or full sentences. Just use keywords and abbreviations wherever possible. Here I know that DEFN is definition, and I can read this sentence as tort is a civil wrong that is not a breach of trust or a breach of a contract. And if there are some extensive details that are already easily understandable in the lecture presentation or any website or in your textbook, just use a reference rather than copying all the details into your notes. For example, if absolute liability is already explained clearly in Wikipedia, just add a reference. Later on, when you have any extra time, you can always copy the details into your notes if required. If you are reading from a textbook or from a PPT or learning from a video that already has a structured explanation of a topic, you can use the outline method to create an outline of the topic for quick reference and for memorizing the important concepts. For example, this page has the outline of the concept of tort law. You can expand on this outline and write a 1 or a 2-page essay type answer on torts. Plus, the details here will also help you in answering any objective type questions on this topic. You can use the outline method if you have enough time to understand the base material and create an outline, which also means that this method is not so useful for live classes. It is good for self-paced learning situations such as learning from a textbook or from a video. This is called a charting method because you are capturing all the important points in the form of a chart or a table. For example, this table captures the different stages of a civil suit and the sections and orders from the Civil Procedure Code which are associated with the specific stages. This method is very useful for subjects like science, maths or law, where there are several details which have to be memorized as is. There is an old saying that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and that is probably one of the reasons as to why the mapping method is so effective, because this is nothing but a picture explaining the entire topic. In fact, if you have been following my videos, you would have seen that I make use of such maps or flowcharts quite frequently. This method is extremely useful for understanding the big picture of any topic, and also in understanding how different things are connected with each other. This method is not so useful if you are taking notes in a live class. This method can normally be used after you have completed reading all the material or watched a complete video. Only then you can create a useful map for the entire topic or for the entire chapter as such. And finally, let us talk about the Cornell method. This method was created in the 1950s by Professor Walter Pock, who used to teach at Cornell University. In my personal experience, this is the most effective note-taking method. And that is probably because this technique can actually combine and make use of the other 4 methods which I have already explained. To start with, your notebook has to be divided into 4 parts like this. You start with the title, then you have the main notes section, which is for the notes that you will take down during your classroom session. And then there is the cues section, which has to be filled in after your classroom session is completed. And this will be your first revision. And there is the summary section, which is to be filled in after you have completed your first revision and filled in the cues section. And you are now in a position to summarize the contents of the entire page. So this Cornell method not only helps you in capturing the notes, it also helps you in revising the notes and also in summarizing the entire topic as a second revision. When you jot down the main notes during your learning session, you can use the sentence method or even the outline method to quickly capture all the important points. After the class, you should fill in the cues section. These cues are just words or phrases that act like headings or subheadings or as an index to the notes in the main section. Because you have to read through the entire main notes to write these cues, you are actually doing your first round of revision soon after the actual class, which helps in reinforcing whatever you have learnt and improves your understanding. Now the next step is to summarize the entire topic in the summary section. Because the summary section has limited space, it forces you to think and write down only the most important points from the topic. Many a times I write down the summary a few days after the class, so that the process of writing the summary itself becomes another revision. This summary gives you a quick overview of the entire topic, so that when you are revising a topic before your exams, you can first read the summary section to refresh your understanding and then use the cues and the main notes for a detailed review. This Cornell method is useful in almost all learning situations, for live classes or for self-paced learning. You can see that I have used multiple colors in my examples. So, is it really necessary to use multiple colors while taking notes? Well, using multiple colors does break up the monotony of the text and makes it easier to highlight specific parts of the notes, like all headings in red, all references in green, all formulas in black, etc. If you check online, you will find that these multicolored pen sets are not so expensive. So, if you like seeing some color in your notes, you can use these multicolored pens to add a little bit of fun. And finally, make it a habit to regularly take a backup of your physical notes by just clicking some photos on your smartphone. I hope you found this video to be useful, and if you have any questions or feedback, post a comment below. If you have used the methods that we have discussed, or you have used any other note-taking techniques that are effective, please do share your experience in the comments below. I will see you soon in the next video. Take care and Jai Hind.